So today we're going to read from chapter 3 of my book, Varāha, Vidura, and Kapila, Srimad Bhagavatam's third canto. So every canto so far, 1, 2, and 3, has at least one section that really talks directly about Krishna. In the first canto, it was really the chapter about the ladies of Hastinapur going up to the roof and talking amongst themselves about Krishna. In the second canto, it was where Brahma was listing all of Hari's avatars. Then he spent a long time speaking directly about Krishna. And in the third canto, it's right here in the third chapter, where Uddhava has just informed Vidura that Krishna's gone. So they both start to become very depressed. And the only recourse that they have for this depression is they start to talk about Krishna. So Uddhava gives almost like a biography of Krishna in one chapter. And he starts with remembering Krishna in Vrindavan, and then a little bit in Mathura, and then in Dwarka, and then finally in Hastinapur. In my opinion, actually, the section on Dwarka is the sweetest, and I think it's probably because that's where Uddhava actually knew Krishna. So you get the most realized information about Krishna and Dwarka in this chapter. To save himself and Vidura from falling into an abyss of depression over the loss of all attractive Krishna, Uddhava began to recount Krishna's pastimes. Now these are the pastimes in Vrindavan. Begged by Brahma on behalf of the well-being of the earth, Uddhava said, the all-attractive took birth from Devaki and Vasudeva as a captive of the Bhoja king. His father, afraid of what Kansa would do to that child, sent him to be raised in Nanda's pastoral Braja. He was there for 11 years with his brother Baladev, like a hidden flame. There, the Almighty enjoyed wandering amidst the garden groves on the Yamuna's shore, surrounded by his young friends and their calves, while flocks of birds sang in the trees. The residents of Braja witnessed the Almighty behaving as a child. Incredibly, they saw the Almighty cry and laugh, and were struck with wonder when he would sometimes behave as brave as a lion cub. The Almighty certainly displayed his limitless reservoir of opulence in Vraj, as a wealth of beautiful cows and bulls. Wandering with them and the boys who cared for them, Krishna would play a flute and make everyone completely carefree. The Bhoja king employed wizards and shapeshifters, but the child playfully unraveled them all as they approached, as if they were toys. He wanted to see wealth put to proper use, so he convinced the king of the cowherders to give it all to the best intellectuals who would use it for serving the cows. Vraja then faced extreme calamity when Indra flooded the land with rain, furiously insulted by the neglect of his worship. But Krishna affectionately saved everyone by playfully using the cow's hill as an umbrella. Then, seeing the face of the dark night seeing the face of the dark night brightened by the shining autumn moon, he delightfully ornamented a circle of women while singing intimately melodious poems. That's Uddhava's recollection of Krishna in Vrindavan. Now, in Mathura, for the sake of his parents, Krishna then returned to the city with Baladev, Uddhava explained. There, he wrenched the master of enemies from his throne, killed him with his own strength, and, seeing that his parents couldn't believe that the enemy was destroyed, dragged his corpse over the ground. A little tougher. Now Krishna in Dwarka. In Dwarka, Uddhava continued, the all-attractive enjoyed all desirable things, following Vedic and popular customs. Yet he was unattached to any of it, being the soul of all, fixed in the deepest philosophical realizations. His words were always expressed with affection and smiling glances. Hearing them was like drinking nectar. His character was flawless, the abode of beauty and grace. He shared joy with this world, with other worlds, and most especially with his family, the Yadu. Among us Yadu, he shared the most special joy with his ladies, enjoying intimate moments with them in the relaxing opportunities of the night for many dozens of years. Yet he certainly did so with the fullest sense of detachment from ordinary sexual mentality. Fate controls sense objects, and fate controls those who enjoy such objects, but he is the master of fate. No one can achieve dedication to the master of unity if they have serious ambitions to unite with sense objects. So it is impossible that he himself could have any ordinary sense of sensuality. Uddhava remembered Krishna's queens. Many kings wanted to marry Bhishmaka's daughter Rukmini, he said, for she was as beautiful as the goddess of beauty. But like a romance-governed Gandharva, Krishna walked over all of them and took her for his own. It was like Garuda stealing nectar from the gods. Nagnajiti is another one. Nagnajiti also selected Krishna as her husband when he tamed the wild bulls. The disappointed fools who wanted her for their own assaulted Krishna, who beat them off using their own weapons and walked away unscathed. Common men show their affection by bringing flowers to their wives. Our Prabhu took the entire flowering tree of paradise and affectionately gave it to his beloved wife, Satyabhama, who is the original earth goddess. The thunderbolt-wielding king of paradise, nothing but a doll of his wives, became blind with rage and attacked Krishna with an army. It was futile. Now finally, Uddhava comes to some memories of Krishna in Hastinapur, because he still has to answer Vidura's question of how did Krishna leave the world. So the story of how Krishna leaves the world starts in Hastinapur. Uddhava says, in Hastinapur he cast down your divisive royal nephews. Uddhava continued, whose armies made the earth quake when they converged upon Kurukshetra. Your unfortunate nephew, Suyodhan, usually named Duryodhan, your unfortunate nephew Suyodhan lost his power and beauty because he accepted bad advisors. It brought Krishna no joy to see him and his followers laying strewn on the battlefield with their thighs terribly smashed. Instead, he became very pensive. Thanks to Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima, the heavy burden of 18 huge armies has been lifted from the world, he thought. Now what should I do about the unbearable might of my own military? When the time comes, they will have to destroy themselves. There is no other alternative. But how to make them destroy themselves? Intoxication. They will get intoxicated and begin arguing with one another until their eyes burn in fury. So that's the setup to how Krishna departed. And in the next chapter we'll hear that story unfold. Uddhava will tell Vidura all about that. Haribol.